The last 10 years or so, I had migraines with each year. It was worse and more frequent, to the point I was experiencing 1 to 3 a week. I mean, I was kind of desperate for something that could help. I began to see results pretty quick. It's been life-changing. I've had days where I had all the triggers that would, even one of them would have hit migraine, now 2 or 3. The lack of sleep, missing a meal or 2, stress, and nothing. Whereas one of those in the past would have caused me to have a bad night.
Ben, thanks so much for coming today and telling your story about how you came to the Brain Performance Center.
Sure.
So why don't I know yours is mainly going to be on migraines that you're going to talk about. Why don't you kind of talk about that, how it affected your life, how long you've had those, and just kind of talk a little bit about those symptoms before you came to this.
Sure. So the last 10 years or so, I had migraines with each year. It was worse and more frequent, to the point I was experiencing 1 to 3 a week. Thankfully, they occurred more in the evening, so it still allowed me to work, but it was very difficult. A big problem too is the anxiety about one coming on. If I have an important meeting, I don't want to have a problem migraine, so it's that anxiety. Is it going to come today? Is it not going to come today? So it's been medication hasn't helped. The side effects have actually been worse than the medication, so I've not really done anything that way. Just grin and bear it.
Yeah, that's zero. Yeah, I mean, it affects your work life, obviously. It affects your personal life. And so when you get a migraine, how long would that last typically?
It would be, if I got it, usually I would get it about 5 or 6 p.m. Almost, it was interesting how specific it was. And it would be the night.
Yeah, and the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So basically close to 3 nights a week were taken out with this.
Yep.
And a migraine is such a debilitating thing. You can't enjoy anything. Obviously, when you have a migraine, you can't do anything but lay down. And even when you lay down, close your eyes, you're still in so much pain. On that and everything with it. And and it was your brother that referred you to us?
Yep, my brother. He went through that with his family. And they saw a lot of value in it. And I was looking for the root cause. Medication wasn't working, and what's really causing these? And so I found you guys.
That's awesome. He brought his whole family through, right?
I think he had 7 or 8 people.
One after the other, after all of them.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. So when you came in, saying you have migraines, things were a little bit different how we kind of approached that, right?
Sure.
We started with a brain map and really finding out what's the source of the migraine. Right? It's one thing to say I have migraines. It's another thing to, there can be 10 different sources of migraines.
Sure.
And that's the problem, I think, with these things like migraines, say things with anxiety, attention deficit, sleep problems. Those are general symptoms of some physiology going on, but we treat them all the same. We treat all sleep problems the same. We treat all migraines the same. We treat all attention deficit the same. We treat all anxiety the same. And that would be like you going to a doctor and saying, I have pain, right? They wouldn't treat all pain the same. It's like, well, where's the pain coming from? Is it your knee? Is it your leg, your neck, back? Where is that? And then they would go to that, find that source. And they're going to have to do imaging to find out where that is. And with you, when we did your initial brain scan, which is this top row here, we found these areas that were, on the right side, 3 standard deviations high. Again, it's just a small area and a small area on the left side there. The rest of your brain was very healthy. All your executive function, everything's extremely healthy, working perfectly. But the migraine hijacks all that. To try and concentrate while you're having a migraine is impossible. And so to find those specific areas, then we could use neurofeedback, which is basically like physical therapy for the brain. I love explaining this to physical therapists because they understand it so well. Because they're like, well, yeah, you localize the area that's the problem, you fix that, and then function starts working. And so with you, we placed sensors right on your temporal lobes there and basically brought awareness to you through a screen, through a video game of what was going on there, right? And made it to where you were actually, rewarded. The video game went forward. All these images, kept going forward and giving you a little reward whenever you would relax that area, whenever you'd bring it down a little bit. And every time it came back up, the reward goes away, the screen blacks out. So talk kind of about your experience on that. Was that...
Well, I was very skeptical about it. I'm like, can this really help me? And then my brother told me his experiences. And I said, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. And I was kind of desperate for something that could help. And so I went into it, was skeptical, just didn't know what to expect, but I was going to do whatever I could do. So we did the omega-3, the magnesium consistently. And then the first session was exhausting. I knew I wasn't looking at a TV screen. I knew something was actually happening because
Right.
I walked out of there and I was exhausted. But then each subsequent therapy, I was less fatigued after. And I began to see results pretty quick. It's been 2 months now, or a little more 2 months, and I've had 4 migraines. And 3 of those were directly from sessions, which I know can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been life-changing.
Yeah.
Literally life-changing. My wife is now doing it. I said, you gotta try this. And she's beginning to see some benefit for her conditions as well. So I'm very excited.
Yeah. So absolutely. When we've got, again, we're not putting any electricity in the brain at all, but when you're bringing attention to that area and you're trying to bring it down, the brain's trying to rebound a little bit, it stresses that area a little bit. So like you said, it can cause a little bit of, triggering some of those headaches and migraines and stuff with that for a little bit. But one thing I think you said when we were talking on our exit review was that you saw that it would start to start to go. So explain that a little bit.
Yes, you mentioned that after about 10 sessions or so, I began to see that, and I did. And I probably had it 5 or 6 times where I felt it coming, and the anxiety starts because once it starts, I've never been able to stop it,
Right.
And every time it's just kind of petered out. Yeah. And that's only happened 5 times, so even those aren't happening, which is amazing in itself, but it's just like the brain is saying, nope, I'm good. Yeah. I have plenty of ability to manage this trigger, and I'm not going to cause you pain.
Right, exactly. And these temporal lobes here, this red, again, everybody will have a migraine in those temporal lobes once they get to this much electricity. Okay, this much electricity starts to cause a vascular dilation and constriction, and it goes throughout there, and it starts to cause either a tension headache or a migraine. It can cause one or the other. And everybody will get there. But you should start out the day here. And when you start out the day here, a little bit of stress, a little bit of this, a little bit of all these things, you can manage that, and you're nowhere near it. But with that red, you were starting out right here, right? So you have no reserve. Just a little bit of stress triggers it, right? And so, again, we didn't get rid of the migraine happening here. You're just, down here. That white means you're way down here. You're totally normal level. So you have tons of reserve for stress and to handle all this stuff before it would ever get to that level again to do that. And so that's what's great. And that's what's great about this being, a permanent change. Doesn't mean you won't ever get a headache. Obviously, you can get up there. We have bad days for sure. But for the, it's just not at that hairline trigger where it's just right there. You got so much reserve to where, you start to feel it go in that direction. So you think it's going to go up, but it's way down here. Yeah. It's, way away from that. And
I've pressure tested this. I've had days where I've had all the triggers that even one of them would have hit migraine. Now 2 or 3, the lack of sleep, missing a meal or 2, stress, and nothing. Yeah. Whereas one of those in the past would have caused me to have a bad migraine.
Right. Yeah, you're telling me about you did some long drive.
Yeah, we drove 11 hours on 3 hours sleep, for example, no problem.
Right, right.
That'd be a guaranteed migraine.
Right, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I love that you're telling your story because so many people suffer with migraines. And it's one of those things where, I have, personally done brain mapping and trained close to 500 people with migraines. And, which sounds like a lot, but it's over, a wide area, and stuff. It's not all right here that we've done all that.
Sure.
Some of it's with the military that we've done and stuff too. And, and I see it all around. It's such an obvious thing for me, but still so many people are suffering with migraines all the time. And to be able to bring that activity down and live a normal life, that's got to be amazing. You're probably getting to the point now where you're almost forgetting to think that you might get a migraine.
Yes. I didn't even want to tell anyone I was seeing improvement. Yeah. I didn't want to jinx it for the first month or two, but I feel like it's lasting now, and I pressure tested it against really tough days, and I feel good.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in.
Absolutely.
And sharing your story.